The train pulled into the small Mississippi town of Pinewood, its whistle cutting through the quiet afternoon like a distant memory returning home. A lone figure stepped off, his worn-out shoes scraping against the platform. Jeremiah J.J. Carter took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of pine trees and freshly baked bread drifting from the old bakery down the road. It was a scent he had once known well, but time had turned it into a relic of the past. Years ago, J.J. had been a star. Born with an ear for music and fingers that danced effortlessly across the piano keys, he had been the pride of Pinewood. At just 17, he left for New Orleans, where the sound of jazz filled the air like a heartbeat. There, he played in clubs, his music drawing crowds night after night. Record labels took notice, and soon he was recording albums, traveling across the country, and living the dream he had always wanted. But dreams, when handled carelessly, can slip away like sand through fingers. Fame brought money, and money brought temptation. JJ fell into the fast life parties, alcohol, and eventually addiction. The music that once poured from his soul with ease became forced, and his performances grew erratic. The people who once surrounded him disappeared when his money ran out. Soon he was left with nothing but regret and a handful of broken dreams. After years of struggling in the shadows, JJ found himself back in Pinewood, walking the same streets he had once proudly left behind. His clothes were worn, his body thinner than before, and his hands those once magical hands shook from years of abuse. He carried the weight of his failures like a heavy chain, each step a reminder of what he had lost. Pinewood had not changed much. The bakery still filled the air with the scent of fresh bread, and the general store still had the same old bell that jingled when customers walked in. But the people had changed. Many of the elders who once praised his talent were gone, and the young ones only knew him as a cautionary tale. He was no longer JJ the prodigy, just Jeremiah, the man who had thrown it all away. With nowhere to go, he wandered into the small church at the edge of town. The choir was practicing, their voices blending in perfect harmony, filling the space with warmth. He stood in the back, unnoticed, letting the music wash over him. It had been a long time since he had felt anything close to peace. Over the next few days, JJ kept returning to the church, sitting in the last pew, listening. The choir director, an older man named Reverend Hayes, eventually took notice. He knew who JJ was. Everyone did. But instead of pushing him away, he welcomed him, offering small tasks around the church. Cleaning, organizing hymn books, fixing the old piano, simple things that kept JJ's hands busy and his mind from wandering into dark places. One day, while dusting the piano, his fingers found the keys. At first, he hesitated. He had not played in years. But something inside him longed for the sound, the connection he had lost. Slowly, he pressed down, and the soft notes filled the air. The music was rusty, like a forgotten melody struggling to find its place, but it was there. The choir members noticed. Some smiled, others exchanged knowing glances. They began encouraging him, asking him to play during rehearsals, then for Sunday service. Each time, the music grew stronger, and so did he. The shaky hands steadied, the hollow eyes gained a spark, and for the first time in years, JJ felt like himself again. But redemption is not easy. The demons of his past did not vanish overnight. There were nights when the cravings returned, when the whispers of self-doubt crept in. He wanted to run, to drown his pain in the familiar darkness, but the music and the people of Pinewood kept pulling him back. The choir members became his family, their voices lifting him each time he stumbled. They reminded him that talent alone was not enough. It had to be nurtured, disciplined, and respected. Weeks turned into months, and JJ found purpose again. He started teaching music to the children in town, passing on the gift he had nearly lost. His past mistakes became lessons, not just for himself, but for those who looked up to him. He was no longer just a cautionary tale. He was proof that redemption was possible, that a second chance was not given but earned. The day he played his first full piece in church, the congregation stood in applause. Tears welled in his eyes as he realized he had found his way home, not just to Pinewood, but to himself. His journey was far from over, but he had taken the first steps toward rebuilding the life he had lost. The lesson. JJ's story teaches that talent alone is not enough to sustain success. Without discipline and self-respect, even the brightest stars can fall. Redemption is not an easy road. It requires strength, perseverance, and the support of those who believe in second chances. Mistakes do not define a persona. It is the choice to rise again that truly matters.